Amoshope. I'm a senior registrar in Lautech Teaching Hospital in Internal Medicine Department. I'm a senior registrar in cardiology, and I hope to have a short time here. So the duty that I've been given to carry out today is to speak to the issues of thriving in remote or hybrid workplaces. I don't know, I have a little slide. I don't know if I can share. It's not so much, it's just something to guide the discussion.
Yes, you can, sir.
Okay, let me see. Okay, I think it's saying the host has disabled.
Okay, I'll make you a co-host.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, sir, you can try sharing now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can we see my? Okay, hold on. I'm not seeing it myself. Sorry, I can't see my screen. I'm just saying. Let me try again. Okay, can we see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, thank you. So I just feel it may be easier for us to proceed with the discussion in line with this slide. Of course, we'll be saying a number of things outside the slide, but just to guide our discussion. So the topic before us is thriving in remote or hybrid workplaces. Because of the nature of the audience, I will speak a lot in general terms and on a number of occasions in particular terms. I mean, by general, I mean in a way it's relevant to everybody. And by particular, I mean in a way that maybe will zero in a bit on my profession. I'm a medical professional, so I don't want to bore us with our languages. So as a way of disclosure, I have no personal disclosures to make. All the slides are mine. So it's important we start with the definition of terms. So what is it? What does it mean to thrive? To thrive means to flourish. It also means to prosper, as opposed to survive or to just subsist. And remote, it means something not easy to access, although it could also be a noun for remote control for TVs and the likes, but it means a place or someone or something that is not easy to access, essentially far removed from the populace or the center. And then workplaces are essentially places where work can be done and where work is being done. Although I'd like to also digress a bit into physics to define what work is. Work essentially is energy dispensed over or in a particular direction. And summarily, what we intend to talk about is succeeding in work doing in workplaces that are hidden or that are remote. I suppose what has given me this advantage is because we work here in Lautech Teaching Hospital, Ogbomoso. And in my interaction with a number of persons outside of this place, the way Ogbomoso is looked at is as though, what are you doing there? Why are you there? What's so good about the place that you have decided to stay there? But I guess our journey and our paths in life are not the same. So that we cut straight to the chase, how do we, thrive in remote workplaces? And remote workplaces, like has been defined, is a place where work is being done, but that is not easy to access. How do we thrive? How do we flourish and prosper in that way? Now, my first point is about knowledge. And when I mean knowledge, I'm talking basically about awareness and cognition. I'm not talking about the other types of knowledge which may be deeper. The root word for this knowledge that we want to talk about is cognos, which is being aware of a thing. We know that human needs are myriad, although human needs are existentially the same. I mean, almost everybody has the need for food, for air, for shelter, for water, amongst other needs, which may not be basic. These are basic human needs. The needs in humans that may not be so basic are needs like the need to be noticed and the need to be appreciated, the need for human to human interaction. A reason why these are not basic is because people can do without them, for a period of time, but not for so long. So, to thrive in a workplace that is remote, there is need for knowledge. And that knowledge is in the fact that, one, human needs are basically the same, no matter how widespread and how diverse they are in their forms. Their core is essentially the same thing, meaning that we need the same things, be you in America or in Nigeria, be you in Lagos or in the forest of Sambisa. Wherever it is you are, you need food, you need air, you need shelter, you need water. You need the basic things that almost every human being needs all across the world. And because our needs are the same, it would mean that the same commodity or the same mindset can be tailored to meeting the human needs. And regardless of where the person that is creating the solution is, if he is the one with the solution to the problem, then it means that it will have to be sought out so that he can provide the solution. I'm a believer, so I also like to draw allegory from the scriptures a lot. Now, in the scriptures, we are told about Joseph and how that he was put into prison, but within him, as from the age of 17, was this dreamer and this person that he was becoming on the inside, the person that could provide solutions to, the problems of people and eventually the problem of a nation. Now, he had become that solution right from before he set foot in Egypt, but it didn't quite show forth. Why? Because the need for the kind of solution that was inside of him had not really, set foot to. So it needed time for that problem to meet him as the solution. And that's essentially what I'm saying. Now, if we imagine that this same Joseph got to the point of the problem, but without the requisite knowledge to provide the solution, then it becomes an accident of an event. And that's why the first thing that a person that is in a remote place must bear in his mind is that there are problems out there and there are challenges in the world. And whomever has the solution, regardless of what color he is or where he stays, whomever has the solutions will be sought out. And eventually, the world, or as we know it, the divine powers will create an avenue where the solutions and the problems meet, and there can be the emanation of the person that has the solution. So human needs are of the same kind. They may just be guarded or, clothed in different attires, but they are existentially the same. And it's important that we know and we are aware of this. Because, of course, that moves us to the next phase. Now, if we know that human needs are the same existentially, then it would mean that we should prepare along the lines of the needs of humans, because someday, somehow, we will come to a point where we can provide solution to the needs of human beings. And I've said here, this may be a scandalous statement to put forth here, but it is true, as I've been getting to find out recently. Instead of following passion, we emphasize passion a lot. And you see, many people have been frustrated in the word following passion because we have not done well enough to expound on what we mean by people should follow their passion. Instead of following crude passion, build competence in a field of human need. Now, for people that believe in predestination and the fact that God prepares a purpose for people before they set foot on earth, this may take them unawares. But if you think about it, this actually makes a lot of sense. I have this from Nosa Tunde, is also is a coach of some sort, and he said it and then he put an explanation to it, and it made sense to me. And Ecclesiastes 9:10 says, whatever your hand finds to do, you should do it with all your might. Whatever it is that your hand finds to do, you should do it with all your might. I recently engaged a group of young people, and I was talking to them along these lines, passions, as against building competence in a particular field. And I was trying to explain to them that even the scriptures say that it is a different level that you are passionate about something, and so you can do it. That is one level. But someone that is passionate about something and can only do it, because of passion, will be limited in the scope and is rich compared to someone that can bring to bear himself and learn to be competent in the need of, in the areas of human needs. Why? Because rewards are values exchanged for the meeting of needs. And like Cosmas Maduka, that's the owner of Postcharis, will always say that if you have money without exchanging value for it, then you have stolen it. That's the diagnosis. You have stolen the money. Stolen money is money gotten without giving value in exchange for it. So we must have value, and it must be along the lines of the needs of human beings. You can't say, for instance, that this is what I like to do, but there is no need for it, and hope to get ahead and thrive because you are doing the things that you like to do alone. What you like to do must be something that is needed. And because you can do what is needed, you get value. The value is exchanged for it. So you can get the things that you want, be it money, be it fulfillment, be it purposefulness. It can even be influence or fame or whichever thing it is that you desire. So we should travel along the lines of competence more than we emphasize the need for passion, because people misconstrue what we mean by passion. They feel it is just about what they like to do alone. And may I put it to us here that passion is easier cultivated than competence is. Meaning that if you develop competence in a thing, the sheer amount of will that you put into the development of competence in that particular field makes it more likely for you to become passionate about that thing. But the reverse is not always true. That you are passionate about something does not necessarily mean that you are competent about it. For instance, I've seen many people that said they love singing and they really don't sound that well. I wouldn't pay them to sing for me. I wouldn't pay to buy an album that they wax because they just are not competent enough. So you could be passionate about a thing and not be competent about it. However, if you are passionate about something that is along the lines of human needs, then you must grow competence in it. I will cite an example. I don't watch football so much, but I follow football. And for someone that doesn't watch football, maybe I know too much. Now, there was a time in a semi-final that I think it was Real Madrid that was playing. And as of that time, Cristiano Ronaldo was still in Real Madrid, maybe Real Madrid or Juventus. And you see, everything had come to just one moment. And that one moment was that there was a free kick, it was a dead ball. And this was 90-something minutes. And the scores were even, maybe 2-2 or something. I can't really remember. And it came to that point where the man had to strike the ball. If he struck the ball and it went, it was either defended or it went over the bar or it wasn't in the goal, essentially the match would have gone like that. And possibly they would have gone on to lose that match. But he stood there, his stance, wide-faced gate, and then he stood over the ball, looking at the goalpost. And the man was the man of the moment. He was the one that was going to decide the fate of the whole team. And he struck the ball. and the ball precisely went into the post at the far end of that corner. And while everybody jubilated, I sat back and I was thinking to myself, what can make a man to carry the weight of a whole team? And it came to a point where he was the decider of the fate of the team, and he could still shoulder that responsibility and muster the energy and the precision to strike the ball in a way it still gets into the goalpost. That kind of stuff is competence. That's that kind of stuff. The way he struck the ball tells you that he's been striking it a number of times before it got to that moment. So he may have taken 10 years to be able to strike a ball that much and in that way. But the moment that team needed him, all the experiences of 10 years and the hard work of 10 years was brought to bear on that one moment, and it made a lot of sense. That's what I mean by competence. However, the fact that you like to play ball does not mean that you will score a free kick like that, especially one thing that competence, achieving mastery in a thing does to us is that it's not just about the competence, which is the end result. It is much more about the process that leads to the competence. The process of achieving mastery is what gives the person the ability to shoulder the responsibility that comes with that kind of skill. For instance, I'm a medical doctor, and I know that in Nigeria, there is a field in my own specialty of cardiology that is not well developed. It is called interventional cardiology. There are just a handful of interventional cardiologists in Nigeria, and most of them are either in Lagos, Port Harcourt, or in Abuja. Now, just recently, I started, interacting with them, and then I saw that the governor of Lagos State sent a patient that needed such a service to Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. And you see, in sending that patient, he met there a man that had traveled beforehand and had labored on himself and had achieved competence in that field. Now, the fact that the governor sent you a patient is enough to cause you anxiety. But this is a man that has been doing this day and night. So he could shoulder that responsibility because he achieved competence. The reason he could shoulder the responsibility is because of the process it took him to achieve competence. He traveled to India, he traveled across Nigeria to learn the skill. And now he can bring the skill to bear regardless of the importance or the perceived importance of the person that requires a skill. That's what I mean by competence. So we must strive for competence. And regardless of where you are, your competence will find you out. In Ogbomoso, as of the year 2023, there were only 4 people that could do echocardiogram, which is just a form of test. Out of the 4 people, only one of them resides in Ogbomoso. So the 3 will travel out of Ogbomoso. Only one man would have to do the echocardiogram for anybody that needed echocardiogram. Again, that is competence. It really doesn't matter whether you are passionate about the work, in which case you will eventually become passionate, but competence is to be more emphasized than passion. And that is the stuff of self-discipline and self-control. That despite the fact that you may not start out liking this stuff, because it is a needed thing, you can bring yourself to bear and learn what you need to learn to be able to provide services for human need. The B part of this competence issue is that we must learn and focus on things that are scalable, not things that are an end in themselves. Now, what do I mean by scalability? I will cite the example of my barber. I barber here in Ogbomoso, and my barber, I knew him when he had just a barber shop. That was before he got married. He's married now, has 2 kids, but that's not where I'm going. Where I'm going to is that in that shop where he barbs, he has now started 2 other businesses that do not require him to have another shop that can be done in that shop. So he started to charge commercially by charging phones commercially. We know that power supply is still an issue in Nigeria. So he, got a solar panel or solar panels and then an inverter system. And then he created faces for people to charge. And then they bring in their phones and their power banks and their gadgets. They charge at a cost. And he collects from them, whatever he wants to charge. And then now he doesn't need a different space from his barber's shop. So that is another means of income inside the barber's shop that doesn't need to be widened, doesn't need to be expanded. Now, on top of that, he started another business, which is POS business. Now, he doesn't put it out that POS is done here, but for everyone that comes in, he tells them that he does POS. And over time, the day I need 10,000, the day I need 15,000, I just tell him, charge it alongside my barbing. So I send you everything and then I collect that. Again, he doesn't need another shop to have a POS terminal and then also get gain from that. As a matter of fact, it doesn't need additional electricity for that. It doesn't need any additional thing. It's just, he tells me I need it, I send him money. It's still the same shop, but the business now has three faces or has three streams. That's what I mean by scalability, that the overhead cost of what you are doing, it does not increase. However, you can increase the activities that can bring in for you either income or resources of fulfillment, whichever one is your aim there. We are talking about remote places. That's what I mean. So again, I can go on and cite examples like that. I have a boss in the teaching hospital who does ultrasound. As a matter of fact, she's the only consultant that does ultrasound in the whole of Ogbomoso. And that, I was telling someone, that is a big market. She doesn't open until 4 p.m. She closes by 8 p.m. On Saturdays, she opens by 12, and then she closes by around 6, 7 p.m. And then she gets all the money that, from everybody that needs specialists to do ultrasound. Now, on the side of that is the shop of the husband who also needs, who also is an ophthalmologist. And then you can just go there, check your eyes and do your scan for your wife or whatever it is you want to do. That's what I mean by scalability. You can build on the initial stuff without necessarily increasing the overhead cost. And that should be a thing that we focus on so that we can thrive. Because one of the things that makes it impossible for people to thrive in remote places is because they increase overhead costs of their skill or their competence in such a way that as the competence increases, comes the increase in the cost of sustaining it. Now, my third point, I've talked about knowledge, I've talked about competence. The third point that I want to make is to stay local and think global. You see, we are in a world now where doing great things no longer requires being in big places. You don't need to be in America to do a study that is recognized in America. I have my direct boss, who is also like my supervisor, has been part of at least 4 landmark global trials. He is a man that grew up in Ogbomoso here, did residency in Lautech Teaching Hospital. He's a consultant in Lautech Teaching Hospital. He's a professor in Lautech Teaching Hospital. But every year he does things that are recognized on the global scale. Recently, another one of my superiors also recently won a grant for the teaching hospital to do things for a global body. It is not compulsory, it is not even necessary that you stay in eyebrow places to do big things. We can leverage on many things to get ourselves, thriving, even in remote places. Now, it was the one that told me this thing. Of course, I've always known the saying, stay local, think global. But it was the one that made me to realize what it means to stay local and to think global. Every year, it will go for the international conferences to mix, with people of great minds and then also rub minds with them. He will come home having secured a partner that he will run a research with in Texas and all of those places. Why? Because people are looking for, we can bridge the gap now. There's technology everywhere. We are now in proximity to each other more than we've ever been. Now, the other side of staying local and thinking global, the reason I put this there, this is Good Score Hospital in Cape Town. We must know that this hospital in Cape Town, that's South Africa, performed the very first heart transplant in the entire universe. Now, the general thing that people think of is that such things don't happen in Africa. You must go to the United States. The first heart transplantation, which lasted for 18 days actually before it failed, and they had to do many more in many other places before they started achieving success with that. The first heart transplant was in Africa, was on African soil. And that tells you that regardless of the way the continent is looked at, there are things that are happening in the continent, and it is important that we are in the know of this and that we do not feel pressed to move to environments that are catchy in their names because we want to be seen. Many of the people that move to environments, just get lost in the crowd. But for a number of persons that have decided to stay in this place and stay in the remote places, they have opportunities that will not come to people that are in those catchy places. So we can stay local and think global. Wherever we are, it's not a disadvantage to us. It's only a disadvantage if we allow it to remain so. I will also cite the example of a doctor. I think his name is Dr. Oshodi. He works somewhere around Okeogun Axis in Oyo State. And now Dr. Oshodi has been there for some time, but he got given the award for the best rural doctor in Nigeria. Now, how do they know that someone that is, I don't think he's even in Isheyin, I think he's in one of the suburbs, much rural than Isheyin. He got known for his works in that place. Again, to tell you that we can stay local and think global. You can still be recognized for the things, for the quality of work that you bring to bear. I once had a prof when I was in school, in medical school, who was actually punished and was sent to the same Okeogun Axis. He was punished from University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital. I don't know what for, but he was sent there. He was a doctor, he was a consultant, a fresh consultant averagely when he got there. But by the time he got there, he perfected the art of doing appendectomy, what lay people call appendix. He perfected the art of doing appendectomy with local anesthesia. Before his time, you would either put the person to sleep or you will give the person spinal anesthesia, meaning you will inject something at the back that deadens the limbs, from the lower abdomen downwards. But in his own case, because he was in a rural place, he didn't have the luxury of all the sophisticated equipments that people in the teaching hospitals will have. He only had what he could inject on the skin where he will cut, where we put the cut and do the surgery. And he perfected that art so much that the patients found it easy to do surgeries like that. And it was easier and it was faster. He published a lot of papers by it, so much that by the time the period of his punishment was done and he was reinstated back to University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, he has to be awarded, he had to be elevated to the cadre of a professor because he had so many papers by the reason of the local place that he went to. The fourth thing, which is the final thing that I will talk about, really here, is collaboration. Now, collaboration is important. It is akin to staying local and thinking global. Collaboration is important. There is no man that wins alone. If a man wins alone and he achieves what he set out to achieve alone by himself, it means he set out to achieve a very small goal to start with. If the goal is actually big enough, it should require input from other people. And collaboration is needed now. There has been no time in history that the West is open to collaborating with Africa as it is now. And I can tell you for a fact because I'm in a field where a lot of research goes on every time. Now, in medical practice, the highest form of research are what we call randomized controlled trials, which we call RCT. As a matter of fact, they call them multi-center, double-blinded randomized controlled trials. And randomized controlled trials are the way new practices are solidified and crystallized in medical practice. So they are like evidence to prove that this thing works. Now, in Africa now, there are many more randomized controlled trials that are going on by the reason of collaboration with the Western world than ever in history. I can tell you the names of people, these superiors of mine, that have said have participated in quite a number of randomized controlled trials, from elsewhere in the world. Again, my superior in a conference that he went to recently, just met this Professor Strasser King, from University of Texas. And then he just sent me the name of the woman and then told me that I should interact with her. And I've interacted with her and I've seen that there is a vast amount of opportunity across Africa because the platform is a
competence. Thank you so much for making us understand that there's a difference between passion and competence. I never had an insight on that, but thank you so much for bringing it to the light. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. Thank you so much once again.